how do you know when it's time to walk away from a relationship versus work on and in the relationship? Think what people go through. You look at your standards versus your preferences and you go, you messed up your schedule with me and then you said this. Toxic gaslighter. Or, I just started a new job. I made an honest mistake. I've apologized to you. I've asked for your forgiveness. And I've even tried to set up another date. You've never made a mistake before?
Mommy, I'm done with my waffles. Now can I have egg?
I'll get it for you in a minute, okay?
Okay.
We'll keep that. You've never forgotten anything in your life? Well, guys, what? You want me to just live with socks on the floor for eternity? All these good qualities, maybe he has ADHD and leaves the socks on the floor. Do you want to throw all of this away for this? And it's not to say don't grow. It's not to say don't get better and don't take responsibility.
I think we make a distinction between somebody that has weaknesses and somebody that has dysfunctions. I also think in Christian relationships, just because you share the same faith doesn't mean you share the same values. And just because they're a good person doesn't mean they're good for you.
Mm-hmm.
So I think those are some general, helpful, foundational truths. Two, I'd say, similar to what I just said, we have to understand the difference between weakness and wickedness. So like a wickedness is like a toxicity, a dysfunction. It is unhelpful or it is harmful for that person, for the romantic relationship. If somebody is taking you away from the call of God in your life, cut it off, period, point blank. If over time you see that with conversations, situations, blessing or lack thereof from your counselors, pastors, you've gotten outside help, they don't want outside help, red flag, those kind of things. So to make a distinction between weakness and wickedness, I think is important. And I wrote this out. I remember writing this. It's not just about loving their strengths, but can you live with their weaknesses if it doesn't change? There's a big difference between being imperfect and being immature. Something's ability to change is not just based on God, but it's also based on their willingness to let him in. All of us have brokenness, but not all of us are broken. So I think being emotionally healthy matters. I think understanding that all of us are imperfect, we will make mistakes, and there will be perpetual, continual mistakes made over time. But if they're not humble, and they can't acknowledge, or they can't take responsibility, or they gaslight and blame other people, or they're argumentative and defensive, to me, I'm like, that's a character issue. If that's a character issue, not just a weakness of like their humanity, I can deal with humanity. I cannot deal with foolishness, wickedness, or dysfunction. Can't deal with that. And I would say that is grounds for removal.
Yeah, I would say, like, to put it simply, going back to what you had said earlier, if they rob you of your peace, like, your home should be a place of peace. It should be like a sanctuary for you. If they rob you of your peace, they rob you of your joy, like, especially in the dating phase, like, that should be the honeymoon phase for you. You should not be constantly feeling
Facts. We know people.
down. Like,
we know people that they started, like, they literally just started. I'm like, they're already fighting. I'm like, you don't even have a mortgage. You don't have a covenant of marriage. You don't have kids. You barely even have your careers established. And this is the hard stage. Cut it off. Some people look at us, honestly, more me, and that's more the gentle one. Some people look at me like, I tell people, I'm going to be hard on you in the very beginning, but I'll be easy later. I'll be your biggest cheerleader. But to be honest, there's a lot of situations where I'm the Grim Reaper and I say, cut that thing off and do it quick. That's one of the best blessings you can do, is to release somebody into God's next for their life, because you're not in the now for their life. That's important.
seriously, like, I see some people, like, you can tell the difference between someone who's in a thriving relationship and someone who's not. If they're walking around and they just seem heavy-hearted, heavy head like,
down, tail between their legs.
You could just tell, like, they're just not happy. They don't have joy, and they don't have peace. Like, they're not settled when they're with that person. Like, that's a telltale sign.
100%.
You should not be with that person. The other thing too is, like, it's like Dev was saying, people are imperfect. People will make mistakes. You should have grace for someone who is struggling,
because you're going to need it too.
Yeah, you should have grace for someone who is going through struggles. But it is a matter of, okay, if they recognize that they have struggles, you're able to have those conversations. Like, if you can approach them, have those conversations, they receive it, and they're willing to work on it, and you see that they're working on it, they're trying, then I think it's okay to stick it out with them if you see improvement, if you see that things are progressing and things are getting better. if things are not changing, if they are not receiving, if they are not teachable, people have to be teachable.
100%.
You have to be teachable. Your partner has to be teachable. If neither one is teachable, forget it. The relationship will not grow. The individuals will not grow. And I think that is another telltale sign of
My friend
cut it off.
My friend said this to me yesterday. He goes, if you are unwilling to engage in difficult conversations, you will have a difficult life. And so if you cannot have conflict, if you can't, first of all, we all talk about, you got to tell the truth to people. More than that, the message needs to be, you need to be able to receive truth from people. Because I find that there are people that are so strong with others, and I have a very strong personality. I'll go after you. I'll tell you the truth. I'll tell in love to the best of my ability. I'm working on it. But I'll tell you, I'll receive feedback. You cannot be somebody that tells the truth but cannot receive the truth. So first, before we look in a window, we have to look in a mirror. We have to be able to say, maybe there's something that I'm doing wrong first, and that is a trait of humility. Is being able to say, I recognize that I have some error. I've played a part in this, and I want to change that first and remove the plank out of my eye, and then we can address the speck in theirs.
Yeah.